Well, it's time for another blog. And this is a more optimistic blog than the last one I gave. Now, you'll notice right here, that is, I mentioned about BJ in another video. This is speaking valve, and this is a trach that goes into my neck. Okay, and this is oxygen that goes into the trach. Now, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea many years ago. In the 1980s or 1990s, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. And so I was prescribed to use a BiPAP machine to help me sleep at night, because the apneas were 11 seconds long, which is very life-threatening. So it's like it's no big thing now for me. Matter of fact, I consider it like my best friend. When the BiPAP machine is there, I consider it like my best friend, and I put it on at night and I go right to sleep. Now, in recent years, since 2012, this trach was put in because I couldn't breathe. And once the trach went in, I could breathe. And I still was using the BiPAP machine. And then the service that I was getting the equipment from and the supplies from was saying, you're not using that unit correctly, because it's not intended for a trach. It's used for a mask, a sleep apnea mask that you put over your face. So you end up looking like Tom Cruise in Hot Shots or whatever. Anyway, so I always made fun of the thing. I would say, okay, V5, I see the target in sight, and so forth. And so I'd have a lot of fun with it. And I'd just go right to sleep. And then they said I wasn't using that machine right with a trach. I said, okay, so give me the machine that would work right for the trach. And so they gave me a vent, which I affectionately called R2D2, because he beeps and he lights up and he's on wheels. So I call it R2D2. And he's my best friend because while I sleep, he supplies oxygen while I sleep. Or so I thought, because the vent or the settings on a BiPAP would allow me to go into a deep sleep. And so then I get fully rested, and I wake up the next day fully rested. Well, recently, because of the pain in my mouth, which I'm going to have the bottom teeth taken out and a denture plate put in, you'll see that video. I've been taking painkiller. And so the painkiller makes me sleep a lot. So I think it was last night. I had nodded off. And I'd been doing that a lot because I need to use the painkiller a lot, or else all this pain up here I start feeling. So I've been taking the painkiller. So the painkiller would, make me lethargic and whatever, and sometimes I'd nod off when I don't want to. So she came into my room to refill my water pitcher, and when I saw her and I noticed that the The water pitcher was full, and I knew she was in there, and I knew she had filled up the water pitcher. So I always love to know how I am off R2-D2 when I'm off the vent, because I've been told for years that because of my sleep apnea, I need to be on a machine. So I need to have a deep sleep, and so I'd go into a deep sleep, or rather I'd go to sleep, and I'd wake up, and I wouldn't feel any different. I wouldn't feel lethargic, or I wouldn't feel like a Mack truck ran over me, you know. And I would just wake up, and okay, I just woke up. So I said to her, I said, now you saw me when I was asleep. She said, yes, I did. I said, how was I? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, what about my eyes? I'm sure they were closed. She said, yeah, they were closed. I said, okay, how about my mouth? She said, oh, they were open. It was open. And I said, okay, now please tell me, did I snore? She said, nope, you were very quiet. What about my body? Did I thrash around? Did I look like I was struggling for air? She said, nope, you were fine, you were asleep, you were sleeping like a baby. I said, really? I said, that's interesting. So then I started wondering, do I really need the vent? As long as I have this trach, do I really need the vent to sleep? Because I've been nodding off many times without being on the vent. Excuse me. And if I've been nodding off while on the vent, while on oxygen with the trach and the oxygen, of course I would use a bigger hose in my room. Right now I'm not in my room. This is the only place I could do a blog, it's in here. So I'm on portable oxygen. But I thought, if I can have a good night's sleep or a good sleep without being on the vent, is it possible I may not need the vent as long as I have the trach and I'm on oxygen through the trach? So I asked the respiratory manager about that, and I presented this whole thing to her, and I said, what do you think? And she said, well, for a long time you were under doctor's orders to be on the vent when you go to sleep. But now, because we have been noticing you sleeping not on the vent and not having any problems, we check your oxygen while you're asleep, although you don't realize we're doing it because you're fast asleep. But every time you're asleep and you're not on the machine, we'll take the oxygen checker, put on your finger, check your oxygen, check your pulse, everything. We do vitals, and you don't even realize that we're doing it because you're fast asleep. But we do it while you're while you're off the machine and you're sleeping. And we've been seeing nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're not in distress, you don't have any problems. You are fine off the vent sleeping. And I thought, that is interesting. And I said, because I have been checking for facilities, like in Florida and so forth, even here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, there are not many facilities that take care of vent patients. Okay, people who need to be on the vent. And I only need to be on the vent at night when I'm asleep. During the day, I don't need to be on the vent. I'm fine. And as long as I have my oxygen, I'm fine. And I have the trach, I'm fine. So it changed from a doctor's order saying I have to be on the vent every time I'm asleep to as needed. And I said, as needed, huh? And she says, yep, and you'll notice that whenever respiratory comes into your room, they will ask you, do you want to be on the vent? Are you ready to be on the vent? You say no. She'll say, okay, I'll check with you later. And they do that. They absolutely do that. But I thought they were actually saying, are you ready to go to sleep and go on the vent? You know. But really, are you ready? Do you want to go on the vent? So they're asking me, do you want to be on the vent whether or not you go to sleep? Or, you know, do you want to be on the vent even if you do fall asleep, or do you plan on falling asleep? Doesn't matter. All they wanted to do is know, do I want to be on the vent? And that's it. And so, I thought, that's interesting. So she says, here's what we'll do. Because I looked around. There are a lot of facilities that cater to trach patients, but there are very few facilities that cater to vent patients. And it's hard, sorry about that, it's hard to, you know, when you say, well, he uses a vent, and say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't take him. We can't accept him, he's on a vent, we can't take him. We can't monitor it constantly, because I've had roommates that are constantly on the vent. They constantly need to be on the vent. And after my cardiac arrest, I was constantly on the vent. So I know what being a vent patient is, and why some facilities, you know, advertise, yes, we accept vent patients. Or they'll say, well, we accept trach patients, but I'm sorry, but we can't accept vent patients, because there's a different kind of monitoring if you have to be on the vent all the time. The vent connects to here, you know, as well as the oxygen does. So, but you ask around all the states in the country, and there are a lot of them say, okay, yes, we accept trach patients. But vent patients, no, I'm sorry, we don't cater to vent patients. So if I'm okay sleeping without being on R2-D2, without being on a vent, I could be off the vent indefinitely as long as I have the trach. Once the trach comes out, maybe I may be back on BiPAP, but then it'll be the mask BiPAP, because the trach will come out. You know. So, but then again, you know, I may be okay enough to be home and not be in the facility, because I would be more mobile, because I need to lose a lot of weight before the trach can come out. So when I lose a lot of weight, then I'll be more mobile and I'll be able to be home. So what we'll be doing is we will test. This is what the respiratory supervisor told me. We will test my endurance, off the vent. We will try me being off the vent for 1 night or 2 nights. and see how I do. Because I have fallen asleep many, many times. And then I would wake up around 2:30 in the morning, and then say, oh, let's put you on the vent, because you were asleep. And so they'd put me on the vent, and I'd go back to sleep. But I was asleep from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock for 6 hours. I was fast asleep, and I wasn't on the vent. So we're going to try this. Supervisor, respiratory supervisor told me we're going to try this. We're going to try me sleeping on the trach mask and not on a vent tonight. That's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to see how I tolerate it. They will be checking in on me periodically to see how I'm doing. You know, they'll check my vitals and everything. How you doing, Mr. Lifton? Are you doing okay? So, yeah, I'm doing. We'll see. We'll see. So, I want to share that with you, my little blog today, about, the possibility of doing away with the vent for now, as long as I have the trach. And then my options, I'll have more options. Then, let's say I want to move to Florida, I could look, okay, which facility takes trach patients. And you look that up on the internet and it says, oh, look at all these places that take trach patients. And it don't have to be vent patients, but they'll take trach patients. So, that's going to be the experiment that we're going to be trying starting tonight. So, I just wanted to share that with you in this blog. And told you I hope I'd have more better things to blog about. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. Thanks to all you fans out there and my subscribers. And if you like what you see, you like what you heard, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon, okay? So, I'll see you later. All right? Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.